Why don't we bring a large business mindset into a small business? That was one of the guiding principles that really drove Rashid's business growth over the last 22 years. Welcome to the session, Rashid. Nice to have you here. How are you?
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Let's get straight into it. How about you start off by telling us a bit about your business and what kind of service or products you provide?
We are mainly a manufacturer and distributor of ship models. Um, these consist of either kits where you build it yourself, ready-made, or custom. We are 50%, we're about 60% B2B, about 40% B2C, and we are a very international business because of digitalization. We have exported to about 85 countries.
Wow. Wow, amazing. So 85 countries you've exported to. So one of the tips you gave me, or one of the insights you gave me about what's led to the growth of your business was that you embraced your kind of large or corporate mindset into your startup, smaller business, and that's what something that's created some growth. Can you shed a bit more light on how that worked and how that's really helped you?
I suppose with my own background of being a consultant with other clients, you had the benefit of going to see clients and see what problems clients had. So you've had that training inbred in you for a number of years. Um, I'm a chartered accountant, so I spent 5 years doing chartered accounting and seeing a lot of clients on top of the consultancy period. Um, so when I set up my own business, you kind of come with that luggage, which is quite handy. Um, things that I think would have come with me with my background into my own business is how you set up the business. Um, be as professional as you can, no matter what size of business you are. Focus on customer service is very, very important and looking after customers end to end. Um, putting systems in. Um, so even though we are a small business, we have a number of systems that we rely on, from HubSpot for our CRM, Zero for finance, Zoho for stock management, WooCommerce for websites, etc. So even though we're a small business, we have a number of systems, which then means you can scale yourself up um, more easily.
Mm.
Um, so I suppose it's a combination of all these things. Also, in my case, being a chartered accountant, that kind of helps you to financially keep an eye on the business, which I found in a lot of SMEs is not necessarily the case because the business owner is
Mm.
good on the business side, but not necessarily so in tune with the financials of his own business. Um,
That's so true. I mean, we come across that many times where business owners are really good at the delivery of their expertise, whatever it may be. When it comes to the business side, that's where interest sometimes is lagging, or especially on the numbers side. Um, like you mentioned a really important point around obviously numbers. Can you tell us a bit more about as a business owner, and it could be any generic business owner, what are the key top three, top five, whatever you may choose, what are the key numbers, KPIs, or statistics that every business owner should really take an interest in knowing and remembering for their own survival and for their own growth?
I guess the financials in me will probably drive this one. So probably I would say your gross profit line would be one of the most important ones. The net profit line, um, and percentage of the market that you feel you can acquire. So whether it's 5% or 2% or 10%, you ought to have a target,
Mm,
um,
interesting.
which therefore means you need to know the share of the market that you're operating in.
How might one go about kind of knowing that? Because I think there's no arguments. It's important to know that would be very useful to know that what percentage of market one currently runs or has. How can the average business owner out there go and maybe get that information?
There is a fair amount of independent information, market size information on every industry out there. So there are specialist outfits at Premiership Models. We use Plimsoll quite a bit.
Green
So
source, was
Plimsoll
it?
tends Plimsoll, Plimsoll.
Okay.
So they publish data on your industry, data on your company, where you rank, how you rank compared to them, what they feel is your market share,
Oh.
etc. But they do that for every single industry, so it's quite handy to have that kind of information. It also gives you information on your competitors, how they're doing, has their financial year been, etc. So you know which companies are growing, which companies are taking on new staff, etc. Which companies are investing in your industry, which is always good. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it is. I guess with SMEs, the danger is that you are so small that you don't know where you kind of stand in the overall size of things. Um, but I think that's quite important because when you come to then deciding what your strategy should be for the year, uh, or what your focus areas are, at least you have some independent financial information, or not just financial information, but independent information to make some judgment on.
That is fantastic. Now I'm going to be quite selfish and ask you to repeat the name of that business, or the website or the company again. Pimsol, Pimsol.
Plimsoll.
This is a fantastic resource. Thank you for sharing it. Plenty of people find it useful, especially because it's January. Start planning the rest of the year and think, right, what percentage of the market do they want to own? Maybe doing some research on themselves and their company. So great share. Thank you. Now looking forward.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
suppose so. Sorry to, but I suppose the other thing to bear in mind is kind of guides you in terms of how big that market is in the first place.
Mm,
Um, you know, um, it kind of helps you to manage your own expectations. Is it a billion valuation market? Is it a 100 million valuation market, or is it 10 million?
mm.
So it's kind of important to have a feel for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's a startup business that's just about going into business and looking to go into a new territory or a niche territory. It's good to know what it is they're jumping into. Um, but looking ahead for the rest of the year, 2024, what would you say are likely to be your biggest challenges for the next year or so? Maybe highlight your top two biggest challenges, putting aside potential economic climate speculation and things we can't really control. But for the things that are in your remit, what would you say are your biggest challenges you feel you come across?
I suppose at the stage we're at in our own business, we're 20 years old, so we're fairly well established into our line of business. Um, I would say if I was to pick two challenges, one is resources, having the right resources to drive your business. Um, I have gone past 55 now, so for me, it's about succession planning and having other drive people in the business that can drive the business forward.
Mhm.
So you kind of want to invest the wisdom of what you've learned, but you want other people to then take the business forward because you're kind of getting older. So resources, um, and I suppose the second one is given that SMEs have limited resources, financial and otherwise, try to decide your priorities. You can't
Mhm.
do you can't do everything. So, for example, with us, should our priority be uh, next month we're going to do Dubai Boat Show because we're thinking Middle East and North America are our key targets. So ideally this year we want to do one show in Middle East and one show in North America. Um, that's going to require a fair amount of capital and time. Or should the priority be um, to change the business from Premiership models to Premier scale models and get into other things and make therefore increasing that market share, um, the market size that you're operating within, get into cars, get into planes, get into architectural models. realistically, we can't do all these things at one point.
Very wise information or point you shared over there. Really good to prioritize as small business owners. We can't do everything. Not everyone has big departments for every kind of area of business. Hey, look, what can you prioritize and keep it powerful like that? But in closing, very quickly, what advice would you give to a young business owner that's starting out in business? That one piece of advice you give to a new business owner, young business owner going into business, what would your advice to them be?
Be aware that it is a very tough journey.
Okay.
Um, so you need a lot of stamina. It's not the easiest route in terms of um, uh, like career. You can always go and work for somebody else, or you set up your own business. So I'm taking in the context of your question that you're saying someone is starting a brand new business, for example, as opposed to buying a franchise or so if they're buying a business, do proper market research and do a proper assessment before you go into it, because running a small business is one hell of a commitment.
And certainly vouch for that. So can plenty of listeners here today. Thank you for sharing that after 20 odd years in business. Plenty of wisdom you've passed down, loads of nuggets of information. And I'm sure everybody listening here today has picked up something or resonated with something which should be front and center of their mind. Rashid, thank you for your time. Hope our paths cross again and speak to you later. Cheers.
Can I just add one last point?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. In terms of business, the next phase of our business, we're looking for an investor
Okay.
to the business to help us to grow the business. So I just thought I'd mention that.
That is fantastic. It's good to know that um, looking to go to the next phase, investors. So if there are any investors out there listening to this that want to take a punt on a business that's been successful for 20 years, definitely worth having at least a conversation with Rashid and seeing how you can benefit from being a part of Rashid's journey. Awesome stuff. Thank you for sharing that and speak to you soon.
Thank you.